First Steps to Financial Freedom, Budgeting, Saving, and Investing Made Easy by Robert Zachary. This audiobook is designed for beginners everywhere, no matter your age, income, or where you live. Inside, you'll find simple, clear steps to help you take control of your money, how to create a budget, save for your goals, pay off debt, and start investing, even with small amounts. Throughout this guide, you'll hear real-life case studies, practical tips, and easy actions you can take today. No complicated terms, no advanced math. Just smart, proven steps to help you build confidence and create the financial future you deserve. Let's get started on your journey to financial freedom. Introduction. This book was written for you, whether you're a student, a young professional, a freelancer, or anyone who simply wants to feel more confident about money. You don't need to be an expert, have a high income, or understand complicated financial terms. All you need is the willingness to take small steps, one at a time. In the pages ahead, you'll learn how to create a budget that works for your life, save for both emergencies and dreams, manage debt without feeling overwhelmed, and start investing even with small amounts. You'll also discover how to set realistic financial goals and build habits that last. No jargon, no stress. Along the way, you'll meet people just like you through short case studies. People who faced challenges, took action, and changed their financial future. My hope is that their stories, along with the practical tips in this guide, will inspire you to believe in your own ability to take control of your money. This is not a book about getting rich overnight. It's about building a strong foundation so you can create the future you want, with security, freedom, and peace of mind. And the best part? You can start right where you are with what you have today. So let's begin. Your First Steps to Financial Freedom, Budgeting, Saving, and Investing Made Easy by Robert Zachary. Full audiobook English version. Before we get to Chapter 1, please help the channel grow by subscribing and don't forget to like this video. Now let's get into it. Chapter 1. Why Money Matters. Building the Right Mindset. The Power of Good Financial Habits. Good financial habits are the foundation of lasting financial health, and they are far more powerful than any single lucky break or windfall. At their core, these habits are the small, daily choices that slowly and steadily shape your future. They aren't about sudden, dramatic changes. Instead, they're about building routines that feel natural over time, like setting aside a portion of every paycheck before spending on anything else, or taking a few minutes each week to review where your money went. The magic of these habits is that they work quietly in the background. You may not see the effects in a week or even a month, but over the years, they build a cushion that protects you during hard times and helps you seize opportunities. Consider the difference between someone who automatically saves a small percentage of their income versus someone who plans to save whatever is left over. The first person, through sheer consistency, is far more likely to accumulate real savings, not because they earn more, but because they made saving a priority. Good habits also help take emotion out of money decisions. When saving, budgeting, and spending wisely become part of your routine, you rely less on willpower in the moment. You don't have to debate with yourself over every small purchase or feel guilty about enjoying your money because your core habits keep you on track. Importantly, these habits are not just for the wealthy or the financially educated. They're for everyone. Whether you're a student, a gig worker, or a salaried employee, you can start small. A habit as simple as rounding up your purchases and saving the spare change, or reviewing your bank statement once a month, can spark bigger changes. The power lies not in the size of your actions, but in the consistency. Over time, these small, steady steps can lead to something remarkable: a sense of control over your money, greater peace of mind, and a future that reflects your goals rather than your fears. Myths about money that hold people back. Many people struggle with money not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because of the invisible myths they've absorbed over time. These beliefs quietly shape our attitudes and decisions, often without us realizing it. One of the most common myths is, "I'm just not good with money." People convince themselves that managing finances is a skill you're either born with or not, as if it's some kind of natural talent rather than something anyone can learn. This mindset stops people from even trying because they fear failure before they begin. Another damaging myth is that only the rich need to worry about money management. The truth is, smart money habits are how many people become financially secure in the first place. No matter your income, knowing how to budget, save, and plan helps you make the most of what you have. There's also the belief that you have to earn a high salary to build wealth. But history and millions of real-life examples show that many people with modest incomes have built solid financial futures by living within their means, avoiding unnecessary debt, and saving consistently. On the flip side, people with high incomes who overspend can easily end up in debt or financial stress. Another myth that holds people back is the idea that money management means living a dull, joyless life. People picture strict budgets that cut out fun, treats, and spontaneity. But wise money management is actually the opposite. It's about making sure your money supports the things that truly matter to you so you can enjoy life more, not less. The moment you start questioning these myths is the moment you open the door to a healthier, more confident financial future. Let's look at how one young professional turned around their finances by changing mindset. Meet Sam, a 27-year-old web designer living in a busy city. Sam earned a decent income and loved his job, but every month felt like a struggle. Despite working hard, he never seemed to have enough money left over, and the stress of living paycheck to paycheck began to weigh on him. His mindset was shaped by two common beliefs: that financial planning was complicated and best left for someday, and that saving money was impossible without earning more. For a while, Sam avoided looking closely at his bank account. The numbers only made him anxious. But one day, when his car needed an unexpected repair and he didn't have the cash to cover it, Sam reached a breaking point. Determined to make a change, he started small. Sam challenged himself to track every dollar he spent for 30 days, not to judge himself, but simply to understand where his money was going. The results opened his eyes. He discovered that small, frequent purchases like daily coffee shop stops, takeout meals, and impulse buys online were quietly draining hundreds of dollars each month. With this new awareness, Sam shifted his mindset. Instead of feeling defeated, he focused on what he could control. He set up an automatic transfer of $50 a month into a savings account and challenged himself to cook at home more often. These weren't drastic changes, but they added up. Over the next year, Sam's confidence grew. His small savings began to build, and he no longer panicked over unexpected bills. What changed wasn't just his bank balance, it was his attitude. Sam learned that managing money wasn't about perfection or huge sacrifices. It was about small, steady actions that reflected his priorities. By changing his mindset, Sam proved to himself that anyone can take charge of their finances, no matter where they start. Chapter 2. Tracking your money, know where it goes. How to track income and expenses. At the heart of good financial management is knowing exactly what money comes in and where it goes. Tracking income and expenses might sound simple, but it's a practice that can transform how you see and use your money. Start by listing all your income sources. This includes your salary or wages, but don't stop there. Think about side hustles, freelance work, stipends, allowances, government support, child support, or any irregular cash inflows. Even small amounts from selling used items online or doing odd jobs should count, because everything contributes to your financial picture. By tracking all forms of income, you're able to see what you're really working with each month, not just what hits your main bank account. Next, it's time to look at your expenses, and this is where most people find surprises. To track your spending effectively, you need to capture everything, not just the big bills. Start with fixed costs like rent, mortgage, utilities, car payments, insurance, or school fees. Then, move to variable and flexible costs. Groceries, transportation, entertainment, clothing, gifts, dining out, subscriptions, and small daily purchases like coffee or snacks. Don't forget occasional or annual expenses, things like medical bills, holiday spending, or maintenance costs. The goal is to paint an honest picture of where your money flows each week or month. 20% for savings and debt repayment. This final category is what builds your financial future. It includes contributions to an emergency fund, retirement savings, paying extra on credit card balances or loans beyond minimums, or setting aside money for big goals like buying a home, starting a business, or investing. This 20% is where lasting financial security grows. Even small amounts saved consistently can add up over time. It's about building a habit as much as hitting a specific dollar target. An example: let's say you take home $2,000 a month after taxes. The 50/30/20 rule would suggest $1,000 for needs, rent, groceries, utilities, transport, $600 for wants, meals out, entertainment, small luxuries, $400 for savings or paying down debt. Of course, real life isn't always neat. In high-cost cities, rent alone might eat up more than 50% of your income. That's okay, the rule is a guide, not a strict law. The power lies in giving you a starting point so you can adjust thoughtfully rather than spending without a plan. The 50/30/20 rule encourages balance, meet your responsibilities, enjoy your life, and invest in your future. It's simple enough to remember, flexible enough to apply to any lifestyle, and powerful enough to change the way you handle money. How to make a budget that actually works. Creating a budget isn't just about filling out numbers on a page, it's about building a tool that helps you live better, not feel trapped. A budget that actually works is one that reflects your real income, your real priorities, and your real life. It helps you control your money instead of letting your money control you. The key is to build a plan that's honest, flexible, and easy to stick with. Step 1. Start with the truth. Before you can build a working budget, you have to know where you stand. That means tracking what's coming in and what's going out. Not what you wish you earned or hope you're spending, but the actual numbers. Write down or log every source of income, your job, side hustles, freelance gigs, or support you receive. Then, for at least 30 days, track every single expense, rent, groceries, coffee runs, app subscriptions, even that $2 snack. Many people are surprised by what they find, small daily habits that add up or expenses they'd forgotten about. This step helps you build a budget on facts, not guesses. Step 2. Choose a simple system. A budget should be easy to update and review, otherwise you won't stick with it. You might use an app like Mint, an app, or a bank tool. Or maybe you prefer a spreadsheet or even pen and paper. The tool doesn't matter as much as the habit, recording what you spend and comparing it to your plan. Set aside a few minutes each week to review and adjust. Seeing these patterns was a wake-up call, but also an opportunity. Instead of feeling guilty, Sam focused on simple changes. He started making coffee at home and bought a reusable cup for campus. He planned meals ahead so he wasn't tempted by expensive convenience food. He canceled 2 unused subscriptions and limited impulse purchases by setting a weekly cash allowance for fun spending. In just 2 months, Sam saved over $400, enough to cover his semester's course materials and start a small emergency fund. More importantly, he felt in control for the first time. What began as a simple tracking exercise became the first step toward long-term financial confidence. Sam's story shows that awareness is powerful. Sometimes, the biggest impact comes from noticing the small, daily decisions we don't even realize we're making. Chapter 3. Creating Your First Budget. The 50/30/20 rule explained. The 50/30/20 rule is one of the simplest, most practical frameworks for managing your money. And it works no matter how much or how little you earn. It helps you break down your after-tax income into 3 clear categories: 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings or debt repayment. Think of it as a blueprint that ensures your essential costs are covered, you enjoy your life, and you build a strong foundation for the future, all at the same time. Let's break it down. 50% for needs. Needs are your must-haves, the expenses that are crucial for basic living. This includes rent or mortgage payments, utilities like electricity and water, groceries, not takeout or fancy coffees, but the food that fuels you, health insurance, transportation costs to get to work or school, and minimum payments on debts like student loans or credit cards. The idea is to keep these core expenses at or below half your income. If your needs are creeping beyond 50%, it's a signal to look for ways to cut costs or boost income, because this can squeeze out room for savings or enjoyable spending. 30% for wants. Wants are where personal choice shines. These are the non-essential things that make life richer and more enjoyable: dining out, going to the movies, buying new clothes, beyond what's truly necessary, vacations, hobbies, gym memberships, subscriptions, or the latest tech gadgets. This category is important, it's what keeps you from feeling deprived. The key is balance. Allocating 30% to wants means you can enjoy life today without sacrificing your tomorrow. The process works best when you're consistent. Some people like to jot down every purchase immediately using a small notebook or notes app. Others prefer to set aside 10 minutes each evening or at the end of the week to log all transactions at once. What matters most is that you're thorough. Even small purchases, the $1.50 bottle of water, the $3 app download, the $7 streaming rental, should be recorded. These small amounts may feel insignificant, but over weeks and months, they add up more than most people realize. Once you've gathered data for a few weeks or a month, patterns begin to emerge. You'll see not just where your money is going, but also when you tend to spend more weekends, late nights, stressful days. You'll spot habits like frequent takeout meals or subscription services you barely use. And with this knowledge, you gain power. The power to make choices that align with your values, your goals, and your future. Tracking isn't about restriction. It's about clarity and control. Simple tools, pen and paper, apps, spreadsheets. The good news about tracking your money is that you don't need anything fancy or expensive to do it. The best tool is simply the one that fits your personality and keeps you consistent. For many people, that tool is as basic as pen and paper. Writing down every income and expense by hand in a notebook, planner, or even sticky notes can make your spending feel more real. It forces you to slow down and notice what's happening. Some people like to keep a small notebook in their bag or by their bedside to jot down purchases as they happen or reflect on them at the end of the day. The act of physically writing things out helps build awareness and accountability. Then there's the option of using spreadsheets. If you're someone who likes seeing numbers organized and easy to analyze, this could be perfect for you. You don't need to be a spreadsheet expert. A simple table with columns for date, description, income, expense, and category is a powerful starting point. You can total each column at the end of the week or month and see how much you're earning, how much you're spending, and where your money is going. Tools like Google Sheets are free and accessible from any device, so you can update your tracker on your phone or computer wherever you are. The beauty of spreadsheets is that you can customize them, color-code your categories, add charts, or even set formulas to calculate your balance automatically. For those who prefer automation and convenience, apps can make tracking effortless. Free and low-cost apps like Mint, GoBudget, EveryDollar, and NAB, You Need a Budget, or Pocket Guard connect directly to your bank accounts and credit cards. They categorize your spending in real time so you can see at a glance where your money is going. Some apps send you alerts when you're close to your spending limits, while others generate reports that help you spot trends. Many banking apps also have built-in spending trackers, which means you might not need a separate app at all. The advantage of apps is that they save time, reduce human error, and give you immediate insight, but they do require you to check in regularly to stay engaged. In the end, there's no single best tool, only what works for you. Some people even use a mix, apps for the big picture, spreadsheets for goal tracking, and pen and paper for daily awareness. The key is to pick a method that feels natural, easy, and most importantly, sustainable. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about building a habit of paying attention so you can take charge of your financial life. Case study: the student who discovered hidden spending patterns. Meet Sam, a university student balancing classes, part-time work, and a tight budget. Like many students, Sam assumed he was being reasonably careful with money. His major expenses, rent, utilities, tuition, and textbooks, were predictable. But somehow, by the middle of each month, Sam often found himself anxious, wondering why his bank balance was so much lower than expected. Frustrated by the constant cycle of scrambling for funds, Sam decided to do something different: track every single dollar he spent for a full month. At first, the exercise felt tedious. Sam chose to use a free app that linked to his debit card and set up a simple spreadsheet to cross-check anything he paid for with cash. For 30 days, he logged it all: morning coffees, late-night snacks, streaming subscriptions, rideshare trips, the occasional fast food meal between classes, small purchases at the campus store. The numbers began to tell a story Sam had never seen before. By the end of the month, the patterns were impossible to ignore. Sam had spent over $80 on coffee and energy drinks, more than $60 on fast food, and about $40 on digital subscriptions, a few of which he barely used. On top of that, small, harmless purchases like snacks or impulse buys at the student union totaled another $50. In total, nearly $250 had slipped away on small, everyday habits. That was money Sam could have put toward textbooks, savings, or simply breathing room in his budget. Step 3. Make it realistic, not perfect. Budgets fail when they're too strict. If you love dining out and try to cut it to zero overnight, you'll probably burn out. Instead, set limits that challenge you a little but still feel doable. If you normally spend $200 a month on takeout, try bringing it down to $150 at first. Celebrate small wins and adjust as you go. Step 4. Build in flexibility. Life isn't static, and your budget shouldn't be either. Maybe you get a surprise medical bill, or your car needs repairs, or you get a raise. Your budget should shift with you. That's why it's smart to include a small buffer line in your budget, even $20 to $50 a month, for life's little surprises. Step 5. Tie your budget to your goals. A budget that works keeps your why front and center. Whether it's saving for a trip, paying off debt, building an emergency fund, or investing in your education, your budget should reflect what matters most to you. When you see your money helping you move toward those goals, sticking to the plan feels rewarding, not restrictive. Tip: check in with your budget monthly at first. Review what worked, what didn't, and what you can adjust. Over time, budgeting becomes a habit that takes just minutes a week but gives you long-term peace of mind. A budget that works isn't about perfection. It's about progress, spending with intention, adjusting as you go, and building a life where your money supports your dreams instead of getting in the way. Case study: a part-time worker who used a basic budget to save for a big goal. Meet Sam, a university student who worked part-time at a bookstore earning about $800 a month after taxes. Like many students, Sam felt like money was always tight. Between rent for a shared apartment, groceries, transportation, and a little spending money for coffee or nights out, there never seemed to be anything left to save. But Sam had a dream: to backpack across Southeast Asia for a month after graduation. The estimated cost? Around $2,500 for flights, hostels, food, and activities. It felt out of reach at first, but Sam decided to try building a basic budget and see what was possible. The first step Sam took was to track every dollar. Using a simple spreadsheet, Sam logged all income and every expense for 1 month. This revealed some eye-opening patterns: $50 to $70 a month on takeout meals, another $30 on random app subscriptions Sam had forgotten about, and frequent small purchases that didn't feel like much individually but added up quickly. With this clearer picture, Sam applied a simplified version of the 50/30/20 rule. Needs: rent, groceries, transportation took about 60% of income, wants like dining out and entertainment about 25%, and Sam committed to saving the remaining 15%, about $120 a month. That didn't seem like much at first, but Sam also took action, cutting takeout in half, canceling unused subscriptions, and doing more free or low-cost social activities. These small changes boosted monthly savings to nearly $200. Sam opened a separate online savings account nicknamed Travel Fund and set up an automatic transfer every payday. By keeping the savings out of sight, Sam wasn't tempted to dip into it for impulse buys. After 14 months of steady saving and even picking up a few extra shifts during school breaks, Sam hit the $2,500 goal. The trip became a reality, fully funded without debt. More importantly, Sam gained confidence in managing money and kept using a budget even after returning home, applying those skills to new goals. The takeaway: a basic budget doesn't have to be complicated. When you know where your money goes and align spending with what matters to you, even small amounts saved consistently can turn a big dream into a reality. Chapter 4: Saving, Paying Yourself First. Why saving should come before spending. Most people live by the earn, spend, then save what's left formula, but here's the truth: what's left is often nothing. Life has a way of filling up every available dollar. There's always one more bill, one more outing, one more little treat that seems harmless in the moment. That's why, if you want to build financial security, stability, and freedom, saving can't be an afterthought. It needs to come before spending. When you pay yourself first, you are prioritizing your future self. Think about it this way: The money you save today is what protects you during tough times, job loss, medical bills, emergency repairs, and what empowers you to seize opportunities, starting a business, traveling, investing, buying a home. If you wait to see what's left at the end of the month, your future is always at the mercy of your present-day choices. Psychologically, paying yourself first also changes how you see money. Instead of thinking of savings as what's left over, you begin to see it as the first bill you must pay. Just like you wouldn't skip rent or electricity, you don't skip saving. It becomes part of your identity. You are someone who values your future security. This approach helps you escape the trap of lifestyle inflation, where your spending grows each time your income grows. If you always save first, you can enjoy some lifestyle upgrades without sacrificing your future. For example, if you get a raise, you might decide that half of the extra income goes to savings automatically. That way, you're still improving your lifestyle, but you're also strengthening your financial foundation. Paying yourself first also builds discipline and confidence. The more you see your savings grow, the prouder you'll feel. This positive reinforcement makes it easier to keep the habit going. And even small savings add up over time, especially if you're consistent. A $25 automatic transfer each week turns into $1,300 in a year, without any major sacrifice. Finally, putting saving first gives you choice. When unexpected expenses pop up, you're not forced to rely on credit cards or loans. When an opportunity arises, like taking a course, investing, or making a career move, you have the resources to act. Saving before spending means you're building the kind of life where you're in control, not just reacting to each new expense or crisis. Small steps that make a big difference. When it comes to saving, many people feel overwhelmed because they think they need to set aside big chunks of money to make any real progress. The truth is, financial security doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small, steady steps done consistently. Tiny habits can lead to big results over time. Let's start with a simple idea. Save what you can when you can. Even $1 a day adds up to $365 a year. That's enough to cover small emergencies, like replacing a tire, fixing a phone, or handling unexpected bills without stress. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. It's not about how much you save at the beginning. It's about building the habit of saving regularly. One powerful small step is to automate your savings. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a savings account every time you get paid. Could be $5, $10, or $50, whatever you can afford. When it's automatic, you don't have to rely on willpower or remember to do it. The money moves before you can be tempted to spend it. Over time, these small amounts quietly grow into something meaningful. Another small change that makes a difference is to track your small, daily expenses. People often underestimate how much they spend on little things: coffees, snacks, apps, subscriptions. By becoming aware of where your money is going, you can choose to cut back just a little and direct that money into savings instead. For example, skipping just 2 takeout coffees a week could free up $5 to $10. Over a year, that's hundreds of dollars redirected toward your goals. Consider also creating a found money rule. Any unexpected cash, like gifts, tax refunds, rebates, or bonuses, gets split, with a portion going straight to savings. Because this money wasn't part of your regular budget, you won't miss it, and it helps you build savings faster without feeling any pinch. Finally, setting tiny savings goals can boost motivation. Instead of aiming for a huge number right away, try setting small, achievable targets, like saving your first $100, then your first $500. Celebrate each milestone to keep your energy and focus high. These little wins build confidence and encourage you to keep going. Remember, big financial success isn't about making one huge decision. It's about making lots of small, smart decisions consistently over time. Tiny actions, repeated often, are what create lasting security and freedom. Case study: a parent who built up savings $5 at a time. Meet Carlos, a single father of 2 living in a small city. Like many parents, Carlos juggled work, childcare, and bills every month, and for years he believed that saving money was simply out of reach. His income covered the basics: rent, groceries, transportation, and school supplies, but not much more. The idea of building a savings cushion felt impossible when every dollar seemed spoken for. That changed when Carlos stumbled upon a personal finance article that talked about starting small as $5 at a time. The concept was simple. Saving wasn't about having extra money, it was about creating the habit of setting something aside, no matter how tiny the amount. Inspired, Carlos decided to test this idea. He opened a separate savings account and set up an automatic weekly transfer of $5. Just $5, the cost of a coffee or a bus fare. At first, he barely noticed the money leaving his account. But after a couple of months, Carlos checked his balance and realized he had over $40 saved without feeling any pain or sacrifice. That small success sparked his motivation. He started looking for other, invisible ways to save. Rounding up purchases to the nearest dollar and saving the change, putting any cash back from his debit card into savings, and directing small windfalls like birthday gifts or small tax refunds into that same account. Carlos also made one small lifestyle tweak. Instead of buying lunch at work twice a week, he packed leftovers from dinner. The money he would have spent, about $10 a week, went straight into savings. None of these actions felt like major sacrifices, but together they began to add up. Over the course of a year, Carlos quietly built up over $700 in savings, all from $5 deposits, rounded up change, and small mindful choices. That money became his emergency buffer. When his car needed unexpected repairs, he didn't have to borrow or rely on credit cards. For the first time, he felt in control and confident about his financial future. Carlos's story shows that saving isn't about waiting until you have enough. It's about starting with what you can, right now, and letting small steps build momentum. His $5 habit turned into a mindset shift, one that created security for himself and his kids. The lesson? Small, steady saving builds not just dollars, but confidence. When you take action, even tiny action, you start to feel empowered, and that's what transforms your financial future. Chapter 5. Managing Debt Without Stress. Understanding good versus bad debt. Debt often carries a negative image, but the truth is, not all debt is harmful. When used wisely, certain types of debt can actually help you build a stronger financial future. The key is knowing the difference between good debt and bad debt and making borrowing decisions that align with your goals rather than hold you back. Good debt is debt that works for you. It's borrowing that helps you acquire something of lasting value or that can increase your income over time. For example, a student loan that funds your education or training can be considered good debt as long as you're thoughtful about how much you borrow and what you'll earn after graduation. Similarly, a home mortgage is often viewed as good debt because real estate can appreciate in value and home ownership can be a long-term investment in your future. Even a small business loan, if used to grow a profitable venture, can fall into the good debt category because it has the potential to generate more income than the cost of the loan. Good debt usually comes with lower interest rates, and the value of what you're borrowing for lasts longer than the repayment period. Importantly, it's debt taken on with a plan. You know how you'll make the payments, and you understand how it fits into your overall financial picture. On the other hand, bad debt is borrowing that drains your resources without helping you build wealth or improve your financial standing. It's usually attached to high interest rates and is often used to buy things that lose value quickly or don't bring long-term benefits. The most common example? Credit card debt from buying non-essential items, like the latest gadgets, fancy clothes, or dining out beyond your means. When you carry a balance, interest charges pile up fast and you end up paying far more than the original cost of the item. Other forms of bad debt include payday loans and rent-to-own financing, which come with sky-high interest rates and fees that make it extremely hard to break free. Bad debt often leads to stress because it limits your financial flexibility and can trap you in a cycle where you're always trying to catch up. Of course, life happens and sometimes bad debt builds up because of emergencies or unforeseen events. The important thing is to recognize it, make a plan to deal with it, and avoid taking on more of it unless absolutely necessary. The bottom line? Good debt is an investment in your future. Bad debt is a burden on your future. The more you can steer your borrowing toward the kind that supports your long-term goals, the more confident and secure your financial journey will be. How to create a debt repayment plan. Facing debt can feel overwhelming at first, but the good news is that a clear plan transforms stress into action. A solid debt repayment plan helps you take control, stay organized, and see steady progress, no matter how much you owe. The key is to break the process into manageable steps and stick with it. The first step is to get a complete picture of your debt. Make a simple list of everything you owe: the lender's name, total balance, interest rate, minimum payment, and due date. Whether it's on paper, a spreadsheet, or in an app, seeing it all in one place helps you understand where you stand. Many people find that just making this list lifts a huge mental weight, because the unknown is often scarier than the reality. Next, choose a repayment strategy that fits your personality and situation. The two most popular methods are the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. The debt snowball method focuses on paying off the smallest debt first while making minimum payments on the others. Once the smallest debt is gone, you apply that freed-up payment to the next smallest debt, and so on. Each win gives you a confidence boost, creating momentum that keeps you going. This method is great if you're motivated by quick wins. The debt avalanche method, on the other hand, targets the debt with the highest interest rate first. This approach saves you the most money over time because it reduces the amount of interest you'll pay. It's ideal if you're focused on long-term savings and can stay motivated without seeing immediate balance zeros. No matter which method you choose, set realistic monthly goals. Look at your budget and decide how much extra you can put toward debt each month. Even small amounts make a difference. Consider cutting back on optional expenses, picking up a side gig, or selling in used items to accelerate your payments. Another smart move is to automate your payments where possible. Automatic payments help you avoid late fees and ensure you stay on track. You can also set reminders for manual payments if automation isn't an option. Finally, track your progress and celebrate milestones. Watching your balances go down even a little can be incredibly motivating. Create mini rewards for yourself when you hit key goals, like paying off your first credit card or knocking out 25% of your total debt. Just make sure the reward doesn't involve new debt. Remember, a debt repayment plan isn't about perfection. It's about consistency, patience, and adjusting as needed. Life may throw curveballs along the way, but with a plan in place, you'll have the tools and mindset to keep moving forward. Case study: a teacher who paid off credit card debt in 18 months. Meet James, a middle school teacher living in a small city. Like many young professionals, James started out with good intentions but fell into the credit card trap soon after graduating college. At first, it was small things: a dinner out here, a new pair of shoes there, and because his income as a new teacher wasn't high, he relied on credit cards to fill the gaps. Before he knew it, the balance had grown to over $8,000 spread across 3 credit cards, all carrying interest rates above 20%. The monthly payments barely covered the interest, and the balance hardly moved. James began feeling the weight of that debt, not just financially, but emotionally too. One evening, after reviewing his statements and realizing how much he was paying in interest alone, James decided enough was enough. He sat down and created a debt repayment plan. The first thing he did was list out each credit card, including the balance, interest rate, and minimum payment. This exercise was eye-opening. He saw clearly how much of his hard-earned paycheck was disappearing to interest rather than actually paying down what he owed. James chose the debt avalanche method because he hated seeing money wasted on high interest. He focused all his extra cash on the card with the highest interest rate, while continuing to make minimum payments on the others. To find that extra cash, he made a few lifestyle adjustments. Instead of eating out several times a week, he started meal prepping at home. He paused his streaming subscriptions, started biking to work instead of driving, and took on tutoring after school 2 evenings a week. Every extra dollar went toward his credit card payments. To stay motivated, James tracked his progress on a simple chart pinned to his fridge. Each month, he filled in the chart as his balance dropped. Seeing that visual reminder helped him resist the urge to splurge. He also built small rewards into the journey. When he paid off the first card, he treated himself to a modest dinner out with friends, paid in cash. In 18 months, James wiped out his credit card debt completely. The sense of relief and pride he felt was enormous. Not only had he reclaimed his financial freedom, but he'd also developed habits that set him up for long-term success. The experience taught him discipline, the power of small changes, and the importance of facing financial challenges head-on. Today, James shares his story with his students and colleagues, hoping to inspire others to avoid the debt trap or tackle it sooner rather than later. Chapter 6. Smart Spending: Getting More from Every Dollar. How to avoid impulse buying. Impulse buying is one of the biggest challenges to smart spending. It's easy to fall into the trap: that tempting item on sale, the limited time offer, or the little splurge that seems harmless in the moment. But over time, these unplanned purchases quietly drain your budget and slow your progress toward financial goals. The good news is that with a few simple strategies, you can take control of your spending and resist these impulses. One powerful method is to practice the 24-hour rule. When you see something you want to buy that isn't essential, pause. Give yourself 24 hours before making the purchase. Often, the initial excitement fades and you realize you don't really need or even want the item. This small delay can save you from countless unnecessary purchases. Another tip is to make a shopping list and stick to it. Whether you're shopping for groceries, clothes, or household items, a written list helps you stay focused and reduces temptation. It also helps to avoid shopping when you're hungry, stressed, or bored, as those emotional states can make impulse buying more likely. Consider setting a monthly fun money limit. This is a small, pre-decided amount you can spend on whatever you like, guilt-free. When the fun money runs out, you wait until the next month. This strategy allows you to enjoy small treats without sabotaging your budget. Finally, unfollow temptation triggers. That might mean unsubscribing from promotional emails, turning off app notifications for shopping sites, or limiting time on social media platforms that encourage consumerism. The less you're exposed to constant marketing, the easier it is to focus on what really matters. Tips for stretching your money further. Stretching your money further doesn't mean cutting out all fun or living with constant sacrifice. It means being intentional and creative so that every dollar works harder for you. One of the most effective strategies is comparison shopping. Before making a purchase, whether it's groceries, clothing, or electronics, take a few minutes to check prices at different stores or online. A small effort in comparing can lead to significant savings over time. Combine this with using coupons, discount codes, or cashback apps to lower the price of things you already plan to buy. The key is to be proactive, not reactive with deals. Don't let discounts tempt you into buying what you don't need. Another great habit is to focus on quality over quantity. It can feel smart to buy the cheapest option, but sometimes that leads to replacing things more often. Investing in well-made shoes, a sturdy backpack, or quality kitchen tools, for example, can save money in the long run because they last longer. Similarly, buying second-hand or refurbished items, from furniture to electronics, can help you get quality at a fraction of the cost. Food spending is another area where small changes can add up. Plan meals and shop with a list to avoid unnecessary purchases. Cooking at home, bringing lunch to work, and using leftovers creatively are simple ways to save hundreds each month without feeling deprived. Also, be mindful of small, frequent purchases, like daily coffee shop trips or convenience store snacks, which can quietly drain your budget. Lastly, try embracing a mindset of enough. Social media and advertising often push us to want more, newer, or fancier things. But when you learn to appreciate what you have and focus on what truly adds value to your life, it becomes easier to say no to unnecessary spending. By combining these simple, practical tips, you'll not only stretch your money further, but also build habits that support your long-term financial goals. Case study of a couple who cut their spending without feeling deprived. Meet Sam and Lena, a young couple living in a busy city, juggling rent, student loans, and the desire to save for their first home. Like many people, they found that no matter how much they earned, their money seemed to disappear by the end of the month. They didn't want to live miserably or give up the occasional night out, but they knew something had to change if they wanted to reach their goal of owning a home within 5 years. Instead of starting with drastic cuts, Sam and Lena decided to track their spending for a month just to see where their money was really going. The results surprised them. They weren't spending recklessly, but small, frequent expenses like takeout lunches, streaming subscriptions they barely used, and rideshare trips that could have been replaced by public transit were quietly draining their budget. They realized they were spending hundreds of dollars each month on things that didn't actually add much joy or value to their lives. Rather than focus on cutting things they loved, Sam and Lena focused on cutting the waste. They committed to cooking together at home at least 4 nights a week, turning meal prep into a fun, shared activity. They reviewed their subscriptions and kept only the ones they truly used. They set a monthly limit for dining out but made those meals intentional, treating themselves to places they'd been wanting to try rather than grabbing random takeout. For transportation, they began walking or using public transit for most trips, saving rideshare for special occasions or when absolutely necessary. The result? They reduced their monthly spending by nearly 25% without feeling like they were sacrificing their quality of life. In fact, they felt more in control, more connected as a couple, and more excited about watching their savings grow. What made the difference was their shift in mindset. Instead of thinking about what they were giving up, they focused on what they were gaining: progress toward their dream home and a greater sense of financial freedom. Chapter 7. Emergency funds, your safety net. How much do you really need? You might have heard financial experts say you should save 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in your emergency fund. That's fantastic advice, and it's a smart long-term goal to work toward. But let's be honest, when you're just starting out or if you're earning a modest income, that number can feel huge and out of reach. You might do the math and think, there's no way I can save thousands of dollars anytime soon. And that's okay. The important thing is to start small and build from there. The reality is, any emergency fund is better than none at all. Even a few $100s can mean the difference between staying afloat and sliding into debt when the unexpected happens. So how much should you aim for? Let's break it down. A starter emergency fund, $500 to $1,000. This is a solid first goal. It's enough to handle most of life's small surprises: a car repair, a medical bill, a broken appliance, or even a few days without work. It gives you breathing room and keeps you from relying on credit cards or loans in a crisis. Your next goal: 1 month of essential expenses. Once you've hit that $500 or $1,000 mark, aim higher. Think about your core monthly costs: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation. What's the minimum you'd need to cover these for 1 month if your income stopped? This number is personal and depends on your situation, but it's often less than people expect when they focus only on the essentials. Long-term goal: 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is your ultimate safety net. Takes time to get there, sometimes years, and that's okay. Having 3 to 6 months worth of essential expenses saved can protect you in case of job loss, major illness, or other big life changes. It also gives you the freedom to make choices without being driven by financial panic, like switching jobs or handling family emergencies. Tip: don't let a big number discourage you. Think in small steps. If your first goal is $500, that could be $10 a week for a year, $42 a month for 12 months, or saving your next tax refund or bonus. Every dollar gets you closer, and as your fund grows, so will your confidence. You'll start to feel less worried about what-ifs, because you'll know you're ready. How to build it even on a low income. Saving for an emergency fund when you're living on a tight budget can feel daunting. You might wonder how it's possible to put anything aside when it feels like every cent is already spoken for. But here's the encouraging truth: small amounts add up over time, and building a safety net is more about consistency than size. Even $5 or $10 at a time makes a difference. One of the easiest ways to get started is to set up an automatic transfer into a separate savings account, something small enough that you won't miss it, but regular enough to build momentum. When that money moves without you having to think about it, saving becomes a habit. Some people also find success using the round-up trick, where purchases are rounded to the nearest dollar and the spare change goes into savings. It feels effortless, yet over the weeks and months, those small amounts quietly grow. Another powerful way to build your fund is to save part of any extra money that comes your way. Whether it's birthday cash, a small tax refund, or tips from a side job, putting away even a portion brings you closer to your goal. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Every dollar helps. And if you can find just one small expense to pause or cut back on temporarily, maybe a weekly takeaway meal or a streaming subscription you rarely use, that money can go directly into your emergency fund instead. The key is to make saving easy and to protect your progress by keeping the money in a separate account so it's not tempting to dip into it for everyday spending. Some people choose an account at a different bank or an online savings account that takes a day or two to access, which makes it easier to think twice before spending. Most important of all, celebrate the small milestones along the way. When you hit $50 saved, then $100, then $250, you're proving to yourself that you can do it no matter your income. The habit of saving, no matter how small, is what protects you and builds your confidence over time. Case study: a gig worker who built an emergency fund during tough times. Tandy is a freelance graphic designer living in a small apartment in the city. Like many gig workers, her income came from lots of small jobs, designing logos for startups, creating flyers for local businesses, and taking on the occasional rush project. When times were good, she earned enough to cover her bills and have a little extra for takeout or treats. But when the pandemic hit, many of her regular clients stopped ordering work. Suddenly, Tandy found herself with unpredictable income. Some weeks she earned nothing at all, and her stress levels soared. What kept her up at night wasn't just paying rent or buying groceries, it was the fear of what if. What if her laptop broke? What if she got sick and couldn't work? What if an unexpected bill arrived and she had nothing to fall back on? Tandy knew she needed to create a safety net even if it felt impossible. She started small, setting up an automatic transfer of just $5 a week into a separate savings account. She figured that even on her lowest earning weeks, she could afford that much, and the important thing was to get into the habit. On better weeks, when a client paid her a little extra for a rush job or left a generous tip, Tandy made a point of putting half of that unexpected money into her emergency fund. She also looked at her spending and found one small thing to cut. She stopped ordering takeaway coffee on her walks and made it at home instead. Each time she skipped a $3 coffee, she transferred that money straight into savings. The progress was slow at first. After a few months, she had saved just over $100. It didn't seem like much, but when her phone charger broke and she needed to replace it, she didn't panic or reach for a credit card. She used her emergency fund. That small success gave her a sense of control she hadn't felt before. Motivated, she kept going. After a year of sticking with her plan, saving small amounts, redirecting surprise income, and staying consistent, Tandy had over $1,000 saved. When her laptop finally did break down, she was able to replace it using her fund without going into debt or asking for help. More importantly, Tandy felt proud. Her emergency fund gave her breathing room, confidence, and the knowledge that she could handle whatever came next. Chapter 8: Basics of Investing for Beginners. What is investing? Investing is simply the act of putting your money into something with the hope that it will grow in value over time. It's about using your money today to build a stronger financial future. Unlike saving, where you set aside money in a bank account that earns a small amount of interest, investing gives your money the chance to grow more, often at a faster pace. Of course, investing comes with some risk because the value of investments can go up and down along the way. But when you invest wisely and think long-term, you give your money the opportunity to outpace inflation and help you reach goals that saving alone might not achieve. At its core, investing means becoming part owner or part lender. For example, when you buy a stock, you own a small piece of a company. If the company does well, the value of your share can go up. When you buy a bond, you're lending money to a company or government, and in return, they promise to pay you back with interest. There are also options like index funds or ETFs, exchange-traded funds, that allow you to invest in many companies at once. These funds are like baskets holding lots of different investments, so your money is spread out. This makes investing safer because you're not relying on just one company's success. A key part of investing is understanding that it works best over time. Markets can rise and fall day by day, but when you leave your money invested for years or decades, you ride out the bumps and give it time to grow. That's why investing is often compared to planting a tree. At first, you might not notice much change. But with patience and care, your small seed grows into something strong and valuable that can support you later on. And the best part? You don't need a lot of money to start. Thanks to modern tools and apps, investing is no longer just for the wealthy. Anyone can begin with small amounts and build from there. Simple ways to start small. One of the biggest myths about investing is that you need to have a lot of money before you can begin. Many people think they have to wait until they're earning a big salary or have thousands of dollars saved up. But the truth is, you can start investing with small amounts, and it's often the best way to build the habit and learn along the way. Thanks to technology, beginner-friendly apps and online platforms have made it easier than ever to get started with as little as $5, $10, or $20. The most important thing isn't how much you start with, it's that you start. A simple first step is to open an account with a low-cost investing app or platform that allows you to buy fractional shares. That means you can invest in big companies or funds without needing the full price of one share. For example, if a single share of a popular company costs $100, you could still buy $10 worth of it and own a small piece. Another smart way to begin is by choosing an index fund or ETF. These are collections of many companies in one package, so your money is spread out rather than depending on the success of just one business. This helps lower your risk while still giving your money a chance to grow. Consistency matters more than size at the start. Imagine you set aside $20 a month, about the cost of one takeaway meal or a few cups of coffee. Over a year, that's $240 you've invested, and over time, that small, steady contribution can grow into something meaningful thanks to the power of compounding. To make it even easier, you can set up automatic transfers so that your chosen amount goes into your investments each month without you having to think about it. That way, investing becomes a habit, part of how you manage your money, just like paying a bill. The beauty of starting small is that it lets you learn without feeling overwhelmed or scared of losing a large sum. You can watch how the market moves, understand how your investments behave, and build confidence. As your income grows or your comfort level increases, you can choose to invest more. But even if you stick to small amounts, you're taking positive steps toward securing your financial future. The key is to begin today with whatever you can comfortably afford, because time in the market matters more than timing the market. Case study: a first-time investor who started with $20 a month. Let's meet Lebo, a 26-year-old office assistant living in a small town. Lebo had always been careful with money. She made sure her bills were paid on time, and she tried to save a little each month. But investing? That felt out of reach. In her mind, investing was something for rich people in fancy suits, not for someone like her. The idea of risking her hard-earned money made her nervous, and she worried she didn't know enough to even get started. But one evening, while scrolling through a financial education blog, Lebo read a simple sentence that stuck with her: the best way to learn about investing is to start small and start now. That idea planted a seed. The next day, Lebo decided to take the first step. She downloaded a beginner-friendly investing app that allowed small contributions and didn't charge big fees. Instead of diving in with a large sum, she chose to begin with just $20 a month, about what she usually spent on 2 takeaway lunches. She figured that if she could afford the takeaways, she could afford to invest the same amount in her future. After reading up a bit, Lebo chose a low-cost index fund. It felt safer to her than trying to pick individual stocks, since the fund spread her money across hundreds of companies, reducing her risk. She set up an automatic transfer so that each month, $20 would move directly into her investment without her having to think about it. At first, Lebo checked her app every day, curious but also anxious. She noticed that some days the value of her investment went up and other days it dipped slightly. There were moments when she doubted herself, wondering if she was doing the right thing. But she reminded herself of the blog's advice: investing is a long-term game. The small daily ups and downs didn't matter, what mattered was staying consistent. After a year, Lebo was amazed to see that her small monthly contributions had grown to over $250 thanks to steady deposits and a bit of market growth. It wasn't a huge fortune, but it was proof that she could do this, that she was an investor. Encouraged by her progress, Lebo increased her contributions to $30 a month. More importantly, she started to see investing not as something scary or complicated, but as a normal part of taking care of her future. Looking back, Lebo often said the hardest part wasn't figuring out what fund to choose or which app to use, it was believing that starting small was enough. But once she took that first step, she never looked back. Chapter 9. Setting financial goals that stick. Short-term versus long-term goals. When it comes to setting financial goals, it helps to think in terms of short-term and long-term, because both play important roles in your financial journey. Short-term goals are things you want to achieve soon, usually within the next few months or up to about 3 years. These goals feel more immediate and often give you quick wins that boost your confidence. Examples of short-term goals might include saving up for an emergency fund, paying off a small credit card balance, buying a new phone, or planning a holiday. Because the finish line is closer, it's easier to stay motivated. You can see progress fairly quickly, and every small step feels like it's making a difference. On the other hand, long-term goals are about building the kind of future you want for yourself. They're usually things you aim to achieve over 5, 10, or even 20 years. These goals take more patience, and the results aren't always immediately visible, but they're essential for lasting financial security. Long-term goals might include paying off a big debt like a student loan or mortgage, building up a retirement fund, investing to grow wealth, or saving for your child's education. The big challenge with long-term goals is that they can feel far away, and it's easy to lose focus or feel discouraged along the way. That's why breaking them down into smaller milestones like saving the first $1,000 toward retirement or making that first extra loan payment helps keep you on track. Both short-term and long-term goals are important because they balance each other out. Short-term goals help you stay motivated and give you something to celebrate in the near future, while long-term goals keep you focused on the bigger picture and provide security for the years ahead. Imagine it like climbing a mountain. Your short-term goals are the markers along the trail that show you're making progress, while your long-term goal is reaching the summit. By setting both kinds of goals, you give yourself the chance to enjoy today and build a stronger tomorrow. And remember, your goals can change as your life changes. What matters most is that they're meaningful to you and that you're taking steady steps toward them. How to stay motivated. Staying motivated while working toward a financial goal can be one of the hardest parts of the journey. At the start, it's easy to feel excited. You've set a goal, you're full of energy, and you can clearly picture the reward at the end. But as time goes on, that initial excitement can fade. Life gets busy. Other priorities compete for your attention. And when progress feels slow, especially with big goals like paying off debt or saving for a house, it's natural to feel discouraged. That's why building in ways to keep your motivation strong is just as important as setting the goal in the first place. One powerful way to stay motivated is to break your big goals into smaller, manageable milestones. For example, if your goal is to save $1,000 for an emergency fund, focus first on saving the first $100. When you reach that, celebrate your progress. Even a small win proves that you're moving in the right direction. Each little achievement gives you a boost of confidence and reminds you that success is possible. It's also helpful to make your goal visible. Put a picture or note somewhere you'll see every day. Maybe it's an image of your dream trip, a debt-free chart on your fridge, or a savings tracker in your journal. That daily reminder keeps your goal fresh in your mind and helps you resist the temptation to give up or spend the money elsewhere. Another key to motivation is to tie your goal to something that truly matters to you. Saving money just for the sake of it can feel empty after a while. But saving because you want to feel safe in an emergency, travel to a dream destination, or give your family a better life, that's meaningful. Whenever you feel like quitting, pause and remind yourself of your why. That emotional connection is what will help you keep going, even on the tough days. It also helps to track your progress regularly. This could be as simple as checking your savings balance once a month or updating a chart where you color in sections as you reach milestones. Seeing the numbers grow, no matter how slowly, gives you proof that your efforts are paying off. And don't be afraid to adjust your plan if you need to. Life changes, and sometimes your goal or your timeline needs to change too. That's not failure, that's being smart and flexible. The most important thing is to stay in the game, even if your pace changes along the way. Finally, remember to be kind to yourself. Motivation isn't about being perfect or never slipping up. It's about building habits that help you stay on track most of the time and having the courage to start again if you fall behind. Progress, no matter how small, is still progress. And every step you take brings you closer to the future you want. Case study: a graduate who saved for a dream trip while paying student loans. When Lorado graduated from university, she felt both proud and overwhelmed. She had earned her degree and landed her first full-time job as a marketing assistant, but she was also carrying the weight of student loans that felt like they would take forever to pay off. At the same time, Lorado had a dream that kept her motivated through the tough study years to travel to Bali and experience the beaches, culture, and peace she'd always seen in photos. At first, the idea of saving for a trip while managing her debt seemed impossible. She thought, shouldn't I just focus on paying off my loans first? How can I even think about a holiday? But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that having a joyful goal could actually help her stay motivated while tackling the heavier financial tasks. Lorado sat down and made a simple plan. She looked at her monthly budget and committed to paying her student loan minimums on time. That was her non-negotiable priority. But she also decided that she could afford to set aside a small, manageable amount for her dream trip, just $40 a month. It wasn't a lot, but it was something. She opened a separate savings account labeled Bali Dream so she wouldn't accidentally spend the money. To make it easy, she set up an automatic transfer on payday so the money was saved before she even saw it. Some months were harder than others when unexpected expenses popped up or when she felt tempted to use the money for something more immediate. But Lorado kept herself focused by printing out a picture of a Bali beach and pinning it above her desk. Every time she felt discouraged, she'd glance at that image and remind herself of why she started. Lorado also got creative to speed up her savings. She began freelancing on the side, offering social media management to small businesses on weekends and put any extra income straight into her travel fund. She cut down on small luxuries like takeaway lunches and impulse shopping and reminded herself that each small sacrifice was bringing her closer to standing on that beach. Slowly but surely, her savings grew. After 2 years of steady effort, Lorado had saved over $1,000, enough to cover her flights, accommodation, and a bit of spending money. Booking the ticket felt like a huge victory. The trip wasn't just about the destination, it was proof that she could balance enjoying life today while being responsible about her future. When she returned home, refreshed and inspired, Lorado continued her loan payments with new determination, knowing she was capable of setting and achieving meaningful goals. Chapter 10. Your next steps: growing financial confidence. Free resources and communities to keep learning. One of the best things about managing your money today is that you don't have to figure it all out on your own, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get help. There are so many free resources available that can guide you, answer your questions, and keep you motivated on your financial journey. Whether you prefer reading, watching, listening, or interacting with others, there's something out there that fits your learning style. For starters, you'll find thousands of blogs and websites dedicated to personal finance, many written in simple language for beginners. These cover topics like budgeting, debt repayment, saving, investing, and more. If you're someone who enjoys learning on the go, podcasts and YouTube channels are a fantastic option. You can listen to real-life success stories, hear tips from financial experts, and pick up practical advice while commuting, exercising, or doing chores. Many of these creators focus on small, actionable steps perfect for building confidence without feeling overwhelmed. Beyond individual resources, consider joining free communities and support groups. Social media platforms like Facebook, Reddit, or Discord host groups where people at all stages of their financial journeys come together to share ideas, celebrate wins, and ask questions. Some groups are local, focusing on cost-saving tips or investing advice specific to your country or region. Others are global, offering encouragement no matter where you are. Being part of a community can make a huge difference. When you see that others are facing the same challenges, it's easier to stay motivated and pick up new strategies. And sometimes, just knowing that you can ask a question without judgment helps you stay on track. You might also want to look into free financial tools and apps. Many budgeting apps, savings trackers, or investment platforms offer free versions that work well for beginners. Banks, credit unions, and government websites often provide free calculators, worksheets, and even webinars or in-person workshops designed to help people like you manage their money better. The key is to explore what's available and choose the tools that feel right for you. Remember, growing your financial knowledge doesn't have to cost a cent. It's about being curious, staying open to learning, and making use of the support that's out there waiting for you. Building habits that last. When it comes to managing money with confidence, knowledge is only part of the equation. The real magic happens when you turn what you know into what you do consistently. That's where habits come in. Good financial habits are the small, regular actions that move you toward your goals without needing willpower every single day. The best part? Habits don't have to be complicated or perfect to work. In fact, the simpler they are, the more likely they'll stick. A lasting habit often starts small. For example, instead of trying to overhaul your entire budget overnight, you might begin with one simple action. Checking your bank balance every morning, or setting aside a small, fixed amount into savings each payday. Over time, these tiny steps become automatic, part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or making your morning tea. The key is consistency. It's better to save $5 every week like clockwork than to save $100 once and stop. Small, steady habits build momentum, and that momentum builds confidence. Another way to build lasting habits is to make them easy and visible. Set up automatic transfers so you don't have to remember to move money into savings or investments. Let technology do the work for you. Keep a visual tracker of your progress where you'll see it often, maybe a chart on your fridge or a note in your planner. Every time you see your progress, it gives you a small reward and reminds you why you're doing it. It's also important to celebrate small wins. Each time you hit a mini goal, like saving your first $50, paying off a credit card, or sticking to your grocery budget for a month, take a moment to feel proud. Reward yourself in simple, affordable ways. Maybe it's a movie night at home or an afternoon off to relax. Acknowledging these wins helps reinforce the habit and keeps you motivated. And remember, no habit is built perfectly. Life happens, and there will be weeks or months where you slip up. What matters is that you don't give up. When you miss a step, forgive yourself and start again. That's what makes a habit strong, not perfection, but resilience. Over time, your small daily actions will add up, and managing your money will feel easier, more natural, and more empowering. That's how habits become a lasting part of your life. Case study: someone who went from overwhelmed to confident using free tools and support. Meet Neo, a 31-year-old graphic designer who always felt anxious when it came to money. Neo earned a decent income from freelancing, but somehow at the end of each month there was never anything left. Bills got paid, but savings? Non-existent. Debt? Growing slowly in the background. Every time Neo tried to sit down and make sense of it all, it felt overwhelming, like the numbers were too messy to untangle. So, like many people, Neo avoided the topic, hoping that things would just work out over time. But deep down, that avoidance only added more stress. One day, Neo came across a free online financial literacy workshop offered by a local nonprofit. The title caught Neo's attention: Money Confidence for Beginners. It sounded approachable, not intimidating, so Neo signed up. The workshop covered basics like creating a simple budget, tracking expenses, and setting small goals. What surprised Neo most was how the presenter emphasized using free tools and communities for support. Encouraged, Neo downloaded a free budgeting app the workshop recommended. It wasn't fancy, but it helped Neo see, for the first time, where the money was actually going. The app also had little charts and reminders that made tracking spending feel less like a chore and more like a game. Neo didn't stop there. Wanting encouragement, Neo joined a free online community of freelancers focused on personal finance. In that group, people shared honest stories of both successes and mistakes. They swapped tips on how to save a regular income, where to find affordable insurance, and how to negotiate better rates with clients. For the first time, Neo felt less alone in the struggle. Every week, Neo spent just 10 minutes reviewing the budget and checking in with the group. Little by little, the panic about money started to fade. Neo began setting aside small amounts, $20 here, $50 there, into a free savings account, and started paying down a lingering credit card balance bit by bit. Within a year, Neo's mindset had shifted completely. The same person who once avoided opening bank statements now felt in control and proud of every small step forward. The free tools, the supportive community, and the simple habit of checking in regularly had transformed what felt impossible into something manageable. Neo's story is proof that you don't need fancy tools or paid programs to build confidence. You just need to start, stay curious, and lean on the support that's out there waiting for you. Conclusion: your financial journey starts now. As you reach the end of this book, take a moment to recognize how far you've come. You've explored the foundations of managing your money, from building the right mindset and creating a budget, to saving, tackling debt, investing, and setting meaningful goals. You've seen how small, steady steps and simple tools can make a powerful difference. And through the case studies, you've learned that financial confidence isn't about being perfect or having a huge salary. It's about showing up for yourself, staying consistent, and making choices that align with the future you want to build. Remember, your financial journey is personal. There's no one right way to do it. What matters is that you keep moving forward at your own pace. Some months will feel easy, and others will feel challenging. That's normal. The key is to stay curious, stay flexible, and keep learning as you go. Every small habit you build, every dollar you save, and every debt you reduce brings you closer to greater freedom, security, and peace of mind. The most important thing is this: you have what it takes. You don't need to have all the answers today. You don't need to be perfect. You simply need to take that next small step, whether it's tracking your spending, joining a supportive community, or setting up an automatic savings transfer. Bit by bit, those steps will add up to big changes. So go ahead. Start where you are, use what you have, and build the future you deserve. Your financial confidence starts now, and you've already taken the first step by choosing to learn and take charge. The best is yet to come. Final conclusion paragraph. As you turn the last page of this book, remember that your financial journey is just beginning, and that's something to feel excited about. You now have the knowledge and tools to take control of your money, but more importantly, you have the power to build habits that will serve you for life. Whether it's setting up a simple budget, saving a little each month, paying down debt, or starting to invest, every small step counts. The most important thing is to start where you are and keep moving forward, even if the progress feels slow at times. You don't need to have all the answers today, and you don't have to do it alone. There are free resources, tools, and communities ready to support you at every stage. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your wins along the way, and stay curious. Financial confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up for yourself again and again. And you've already taken the most important step. You've chosen to learn, grow, and build a better future. The rest will follow, one smart decision at a time. Thank you for listening to your first steps to financial freedom, budgeting, saving, and investing made easy by Robert Zachary. Remember, building financial confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about taking small, steady steps that move you closer to your goals. Whether it's saving your first dollar, paying down debt, or making your first investment, every action counts. Keep learning, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. Your journey to financial freedom has already begun, and the best is yet to come. If you found this audiobook helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more free financial guides and tools. And don't forget to comment, what's your first financial goal? Let's inspire each other.